Hello again, my name's Gabe Zollner. I posted MVI 4483, NSA hacked Sony. If you're a viewer of mine, quite often I refer to pieces of the puzzle. So what I want you to do is I want you to sit back, open up your mind, and let's look at the pieces of the puzzle. Well, what do we know? What we know is that, from what we've been told, is that the Sony executives, when they decided to consider making this movie of the assassination of the leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-il, they approached the White House. And after review, the White House said, yeah, go ahead and do it. It's fine. Freedom of speech. Now, I don't know when that occurred, but I'll tell you what I think happens. What that question that the Sony executives posed to the White House, that created a spark, an idea. And the White House administration then instructed NSA to do a thorough investigation and review of the correspondence of key executives at Sony. Why would they do that? Well, because we know that certain people have certain bigoted views, and what they found is that a number of the senior executives weren't enamored with the chosen one, and they also picked up on some correspondence of them being somewhat bigoted towards African Americans. So what this created was the perfect opportunity, or the perfect storm. As they kept digging further, when I say they, I'm referring to NSA, they found a whole lot of additional information. And then it was natural for them to say, okay, fine, what have we got here? We've got these senior executives berating the commander-in-chief and berating African Americans. We've got this movie that they want to introduce that talks about the assassination of the leader of North Korea. So then why don't we put together a scenario whereby Korea got wind of this? How they would have gotten wind of it is who knows. But Korea got wind of it and decided to hack in to Sony's computers to expose all of these various corrupt activities. Why would they want to do that? Well, look at the media. Have you heard anything other than what's going on with Sony and with North Korea? And now the administration's thrown in Russia, thrown in China, even thrown in Iran as possible co-conspirators in hacking into Sony's computers, when all along it was NSA. Why would NSA want to do that? Well, because they were asked to do that by the administration. What benefit would they derive by doing this? What media can the average American person use to instantly communicate with anyone in the free world? The internet. And how are they blaming this hacking on North Korea, or on China, or on Russia, or on Iran? The internet. So what's the weak link that allowed this to happen? The internet. Do you sort of see where this is all headed? I do. I think I do. And it's limiting our access to be able to communicate through the internet. Since this administration is going to tell us, once again, we don't know what's good for us. They know what's good for us. And they're going to conclude that by controlling the internet and limiting access to the internet, they're protecting us. Why? Because with the internet being as open as it is, North Korea, China, Russia, Iran could hack into our banking systems. could hack into our infrastructure, our water facilities, our sewage plants, our electrical grid. It's all vulnerable through what? Through the internet. They're going to keep talking about this, and you're going to see that there are going to be restrictions on our ability to communicate among ourselves. That, my friend, is what this farce of an attack by supposedly Korea. And North Korea is pissed. They said they had nothing to do with this. They said they want a thorough investigation. Do you think that if they were culpable, that they would demand wanting a full investigation? It makes zero sense. And we know that NSA has every keystroke, every phone conversation, every email, every electronic form of communication that any one of us has made. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this one out. All they talk about, that's all we hear. No different than all they talked about when Ebola. No different than all they talked about Sandy Hook. No different all they talked about the IRS scandals. No different than when they talked about Fast and Furious. All of these events are planned to captivate our attention and take our eye off of what's really going on. No different than when all they spoke about was the hacking by North Korea, and what was the administration doing in the background? They were negotiating with Cuba. Distract, divert, to deceive. You think not? Sadly, you're going to find out how right I am. How right I've been on so many of these issues. I wish that wasn't the case, but I'm convinced that it is. Our freedoms are slipping away as each day goes by. That's what I think. So what do you think?